like I said earlier, I had a gut feeling that Shvi Shel Pesach, the day the sea split, was our deadline day. Was so significant that I just felt like that was the day that his miracle was going to happen, or that would be the time. And I came back and he'd like eaten loads and he was jumping up and down and he like patted the bed and we got into bed and we cuddled and he like lay across me and was watching Cocomelon and we were both sharing chocolate. Rafi was giving him a piece and me a piece and we were, but I don't know. I cried when I got back because I felt like if he hadn't had his miracle today, and then it was his time, and we felt very strongly at the time that it was Hashem literally just taking his neshama back, and it was like, we both felt it at that moment very, very much.
Welcome to Between the Lines, powered by JTeen. I'm Yaakov Barr, and this is the podcast that we talk about emotional health. We talk about the things that very often people find so difficult to talk about, challenges, struggles, day-to-day crisis. In this episode, we're going to talk to an unbelievable person, someone who has gone and is going through a really difficult tragedy and grief. Jessica, thank you for joining us from Manchester.
Thank you for having me.
Beautiful city, my birthplace. You are sort of well known to many people in terms of the podcast that you did in America and the story that I would say almost gripped the Jewish nation. But for those that don't really know you and Ori, tell us a bit about really sort of the last 4.5 years.
Yeah. So in 2021, in January, I had a little baby boy called Ori. And at 5 months old, he had a respiratory arrest and soon after was diagnosed with a life-limiting condition called pulmonary hypertension, which is where the vessels in the lungs are very tight, and so therefore the heart is in failure. And we were in and out of hospital. He was on oxygen. He wore a little backpack with an IV that went straight to his heart, an infusion that really kept him going. The medication had a 5-minute half-life, meaning that if there was an issue, we had 5 minutes to fix it before he deteriorated. So we lived on very high alert. We all became medical professionals.
And when he was born, you had no idea. Everything looked fine in terms of the scans.
Yeah, nothing in the scans. He was born quite small, but we didn't know anything the first 5 months of his life. I took him swimming and to baby classes and just continued
Everything
as I would
like
have. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
A few little maybe blips, but nothing that suggested that he was seriously unwell. And he was a page boy at my cousin's wedding, which was so nice, such great memory. And then, so he was unwell and went through quite a journey of him being struggling at certain times when he picked up viruses or would deteriorate and then need his medication adjusted and so on. We were told that the medication was only kind of keeping him stable. So he was listed for a double lung transplant. So that was about a year after he was diagnosed. So again, my phone was on loud and we're waiting for this miracle, these lungs. But bear in mind that he was a little boy, so lungs of his size were not...
No, you can't just go to the local Tesco's and buy some lungs.
Exactly. Waiting for something very, 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 very rare. And so the journey of advocating for him, caring for him, and in June 2024, he picked up a virus and became very, very unwell, and we were told that was it. And by some miracle, and definitely due to all of the tefillos, he got over this virus. So throughout his journey, people were davening. We had this Tehillim group, which 1,000 people were on, and
really?
just these rolling Tehillim group. So for anyone who doesn't know what a rolling Tehillim group is, which I'm sure everyone is on at least one, it's where someone will open the group and see what Tehillim has just last been said, and then they'll say the next one and so on. And this was going on day and night because there were people in other parts of the world that could say it during the night.
Wow.
So this was going for, since his diagnosis, for the whole time people were davening for him. And in June especially, there was something that changed in the way that the davening happened, that it like shook the world. And the Tehillim group, the rolling Tehillim group, was just going and going and going. And we just saw the way that the community came together and begged Hashem for something to change. And when he got better, we went to speak to our Rav, and we said, you know, he still needs his transplant. We still need this big miracle. We need to do something. And he said, yeah, you need to, the way that you shook the world at that point, he said, you need to do something big again. So
what was it about? I mean, many people unfortunately struggle and have problems with children and health. And I wonder what it was like that the world was so gripped about Ori. Like, have you ever thought about?
I'll tell you what it is also, I think there was something very lovable about him as well. And I used to share a lot of his story, and people saw his goofy side, and he was a monkey. He used to bite through his oxygen and his line and everything. And I actually said this today to someone. I said, I think that Ori represented hope for people. I think his name was My Light, and I think he was a light to so many people. And because everyone saw him and saw his story as this symbol of hope, everyone was invested, everyone was desperate to see the best possible outcome for him. Yes. And he became a community child.
Mm-hmm. So it's like his personality.
His personality was hilarious. He was so happy and so goofy. And I think everyone thought, you know, everyone used to love it when I shared all his cheeky behavior. He had at one point for a while a BiPAP mask, which was like a vent. And I used to catch him on camera taking the whole thing off. And like, he'd be jumping up and down. No, I mean, soon after he'd start struggling, but I mean, I'd usually catch it straight away, and I'm running and legging it up the stairs, getting the mask back on him and biting through SATS monitors and biting through all the kids' toys. And I think everyone saw that side of him and really fell in love with him as well, because he was really a bundle of fun.
Yeah,
so many videos of him just dancing and spinning and running up and down his cot. And
maybe the fact that he was that bundle of fun despite going through,
exactly,
unspeakable, difficulties.
Exactly. Ori was severely, severely unwell. The most unwell anyone could possibly. In fact, actually, when we were in ICU at one point, I remember someone turning to the nurse in the bedside next to us, and Ori's sat there. He is so, so ill at this point. And he has his iPad and he's watching his Cocomelon, shouting for his food. Everyone across ICU can hear him. And this next parent turns to the nurse and was like, I don't understand why he's here. He looks okay. And she's like, no. He is probably one of the most unwell people here.
Yeah.
But he just had this lovable personality. Everyone fell in love, and the community nurses, they still absolutely, they talk about him all the time. And anyone who was involved in his care, Portage, which helps like with us getting like education side and doing play sessions, he just held such a special place in everybody's heart. There was just something so, I don't know, I think it is, actually, I'll say one other thing. When we've got loads of photos of him, and my daughter went around the room and she said, Mummy, like, you couldn't ask him. He never spoke. He was nonverbal. And he understood, but I don't know how much he understood. She said that every one of those photos, he's smiling. But it's not because you said cheese, because he wouldn't have then smiled. He genuinely was so happy and had such a happiness about him, yet he struggled so much.
Do you think that he did realize that he was different?
I don't know that he did. I think he knew, we started to realize that he knew when he needed either more oxygen, or at one point he had this little oxygen mask that I'd put on him. And I remember him going to like my emergency backpack and getting it and giving it to me. So I think he was aware when he needed more support, but I don't think he understood when he looked around that he was different. And nor was he in our family. He was never the sick child. Mm-hmm. He was just one of the four of my kids. And like, just... And we used to go out to eat, and I still get it from so many of our friends and neighbors. People, miss his presence. He was so much fun. Everyone loved him.
Wow. Did you deliberately try to keep everything as much in that abnormal life that you were living? did you try as much as possible to try and keep everything as normal as you could?
Yeah. I wanted him to have as good a life as anyone else. I pushed for him to have play sessions, and just if we had friends of it, obviously we made sure that everyone was well because he was very vulnerable. But he was around with all the other kids, and he was there. He was part of our home. We kept things. We always called it our normal. This is our normal.
Yes.
And I think it kept it normal for us, for him, for all of us as a family.
But how did the family manage being, it's one thing, people have scares and it could be a week, 2 weeks where people, as you say, are on high alert, but you had to do it for years.
Yeah.
How did you all manage doing that?
Yeah. So it was easy. It wasn't easy. I'd say it was sometimes were much more difficult and scary than other times. And we'd go through a calm period where we were all on high alert all the time, but we kind of managed it, and then something would happen and we'd all be quite traumatized and quite shaken. He had a certain cry that he used to do when he was in danger. And the kids, my youngest would run out the room with his covering his ears, and the kids knew what it meant. They knew the cry, they knew his coloring. It was really scary. And
because there's a lot of moments where you must have felt, oh my gosh, suddenly you're getting ready for Shabbos, everything's going normally, you hear that cry.
Yeah.
And it
would happen very often Erev Shabbos, and you'd hear it, and he'd either turned his pump off or bitten through something or just be struggling, and it would go from normal to snap into fight or flight.
Yeah.
Fight or flight, and everyone in the house suddenly went into that. Or, if I'm not going to go into, some of the and people fear of vomit and things like that. So I won't go into all the things, but my kids had to get used to.
I was going to say,
things like
the
that.
kids,
they were amazing. It was so hard on them, and they didn't resent any of it. They adored him and were so proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the fear in their eyes when things got scary, and especially towards the end, having really horrible and scary conversations with them. No matter how traumatic it was, they didn't want anything other than having their brother there with them. And the thought of him not being there, it just destroyed them. It was awful for them. To tell them that was potentially an option was horrible.
But they must have been like that because of the messaging that you and Rafi had, were giving them, that we're going through unspeakable difficulties, but we're not going to allow it to pull us down. We're going to live.
So a doctor right at the beginning made a comment to Rafi and I, and she said, you should know I think she said there's a 50% divorce rate when it comes to seriously ill children. You need to be there for each other. And I think at that point we took that and decided to be each other's cheerleaders and tackle this as a team, and that we're going to have times where each of us is struggling that bit more than the other, but they're just to be there for each other. And we always told the kids that, and that's something still we continue to tell the kids, that we are a team no matter what. And we have to be there for each other. And even when the kids are bickering and going there, you need each other. We need each other. We understand what each other are going through. We need to be there for each other.
Do you think it almost brought you as a family closer?
100%. 100%. We wouldn't be who we are without Ori. And we did get closer as a family and are because of it. Obviously, it's a separate challenge now to what we were going through. But that is still something, and it's not something that's always easy, because I know we haven't really discussed now the part where things change for us, but within grief, again, it's now learning how we're all managing through this, and we're all managing it differently. And it's like starting all over again at pushing to be a team and checking in with ourselves every day to say, right, I need to, look after myself and be aware of how I am with my kids, with Rafi and I, with each other, as it's, this is quite fresh, but this is the new challenge that we're facing. It's like restarting again of building a team with now a very different
situation,
challenge.
Different dynamics.
Yeah.
But so for a few years, you had this big hope that that you're going to get this miracle, and you saw like on a day-to-day basis?
We saw miracles all day, every day. The fact that he lived like every minute of every day was a complete miracle. With his, he was so vulnerable, and with his line and the amount he was causing his own issues, biting through everything as well.
Yeah.
And like we spoke about in June when he got better, that was just a complete open miracle. Yeah, we saw massive, massive miracles.
But then when it came to the lung transplant, that's when you saw that there was a barrier there.
Yeah. That was like the thing that would change everything for us. And that was the thing we held on to, and the thing we prayed for most, and that these lungs would come for him. And towards the end of his life, when we were told he actually needed to be removed from the list because he was too sick to even receive a transplant, I remember just pacing and talking to Hashem and contacting my mom and be like, well, now what?
Yeah, it's because that's everything you've been latching on to.
That was the thing that we held on to. And it's like, I don't know what to ask anymore now, because this was his only hope. So it really was for us, like these lungs was like the ideal. It was a lifeline and something we were working towards. And we always spoke to the kids about it, how when Ori has his lung transplant, when in fact we went recently to America and we went to the Ohel and we got the kids to sit down. We all sat and wrote before we went to put the kvittel there. And I said, the kids, write anything that you want. And my 7-year-old, bless him, he wrote, I want Ori to have his lung transplant. Meanwhile, Ori has now passed away at this point, and it's slightly too little too late. But we said he's got lungs now.
Forefront of his mind.
Exactly.
Thinking about it.
Exactly. It was that we always spoke about when transplant happens, what that would look like for them.
But was that like crushing for the whole family? Everything
Massively.
that you'd waited for, now that's taken off. But you still had that belief.
Yeah. It was. Do you know though? When they really took him off, final was only about 2 days before he passed away. That he got paused a few times whenever he had a virus, and again they paused him a few weeks leading up to it. But I kept saying to them, but he will get stronger and he will get back on that list, and I held on to that. But when they turned around and said, no, you have to understand that this is it now, he can't go back onto that list, it was so crushing, soul destroying. Something that you've like held on to for so long to suddenly be taken away and know it's never an option ever. It was awful.
How did you cope? Like, how did you deal with that?
I cried a lot. And I spoke to Hashem, and I spoke to my Rav, and I sent him a message. This was towards the end of Pesach, and I was like, what on earth do I ask for now? I need to pray, but I don't know what to say, because if this is gone, that's his hope gone. And it was just trying to find the right words, just to continue to hold on to hope. And when I spoke to my kids, it was about holding on to hope that miracles happen. And sometimes it's out of, it's, if it's his time, it's his time. And
was that the first time you sort of felt that maybe that's just meant to be? Or did you
at that point, it was more the realization that it's either going to be a massive miracle that no person has humanly ever thought of, or it would be his time. And I felt very much in my gut that we'd had this, when we asked everyone to daven for a miracle, we asked everyone to daven for the sea to split. And over the years, that was like something massive that I held on to, about the sea splitting for him. And on the 7th day of Pesach is in history when the sea split. So we asked everyone to daven for the sea to split. And I had this deadline day in my head that some crazy sea-splitting miracle was going to happen for him, or it was going to be his time. And that was the day that he passed away. And that it was his time. And it was weird. It was like we saw everything that he went through. And yeah.
Did you ever like question? I mean, I think people watching would be amazed that you were still even davening at that time. Did you ever like question, like, and feel a certain like anger? Why is Hashem doing this to me? So
to me, I feel like a relationship with Hashem, it's like any relationship that sometimes you will be angry, sometimes you will be sad, sometimes, you know, you'll be communicating really well. And I think having a relationship with Hashem will look the same way. And at times I was angry, and since he's passed away, I've felt sometimes just an anger, but I've never stopped believing that it was from Hashem, and talking to Hashem, even when I'm angry, I can see it's still a relationship with Hashem. And that time, I don't think I was angry. I think I really very much, we'd held on to hope for so long and saw that if this was meant to be for him, he'd struggled so much. He really, really had. And I watched back at the videos of him of the last few months, and he worked so, so hard. And if it wasn't meant to be a transplant, which would have come with a whole load of other complications, at least he's not struggling. And at the end of the day, it's hard for us because, you know, we're crushed, and we're still very, very much struggling with the fact that he's not here, and the quiet in our house, and we miss him, and we all miss him so much. But I very much trust that that was meant to be for him, even though it hurts so much.
Because you've got unbelievable faith and bitachon.
We saw so many miracles. I can't understand how.
Did this bring out more, or are you someone who's always worked on that?
No, I wouldn't have said that. I was like, I don't know how. I think it brought about a real connection to Hashem. I think I always, tried, and I think it brought about a real, authentic, tangible relationship with Hashem that I'd never experienced before in my life. Like, Hashem is in our life, I daven, but I don't think I'd learned what davening meant until now. Davening doesn't mean opening a siddur and just rattling off words that you don't understand. It's about talking to Hashem from the heart and saying, this is what I am feeling right now, whether that is whatever that is. It's a place to direct everything that's going on. And I think also it was a place to know, especially in June when Ori was going through everything and the doctors were saying one thing, I just kept saying, like, Hashem is in control. Hashem is in control. And I said that even at the end. I said, like, he's your child, Hashem. And, we're in so much pain, but I trust that you are in charge, and keep him comfortable, keep him happy. And obviously I would love for the outcome to be that he should be here with us, and I should be caring for him for the rest of my life. But it's, we're not in control. I also, I just believe also that when you're saying, like, asking the how, I don't think, and I've said this before, I just don't think there's a logical reason that someone could give me. And I think even if Hashem could talk back to me and say how right now, we're humans, and I don't think we're meant to understand everything right now. And I know
I think what you did was many people that I would have seen when it comes to, like, tragedy. I think you can almost go one of two ways. Either that it sort of breaks the connection that you have because you feel like Hashem doesn't care about me, and I've tried so hard and I've davened and it's all wasted. And I'm sure people almost felt like that a little bit when Ori did pass on, because I think they would have felt like, we've put all that energy in, and almost like it's for nothing. And I remember, like, being in school, and the Rebbe's would always tell the boys, after they said Tehillim and unfortunately the outcome wasn't good, that don't worry, all your tefillahs are going to, they're not wasted. But I always remember, even as a young child, always standing there still feeling like it's not really consoling me. No,
and even when some people say to me, he's in a better place, and like, I just, it doesn't necessarily console. And I do believe that tefillahs have definitely, gone places, and I'm sure that Ori has played a big part in things that have happened since he passed away, and that the tefillahs, someone reached out to me when the hostages came home and said that was definitely Ori. And I really, all those tefillahs that went on.
Was that consoling for you or not?
Yes. Do we go to visit the grounds once a week. It's just something that I need to do. I need to talk. I just need to talk about my week with Ori.
So it's been how many months?
6 months. It's been 6 months. And I say, just show up to me. Just give me like a hug somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And each week someone will come to me and say where they think that they saw, like with the hostages coming home, that the amount of tefillas that went there must have played a part in him coming home. And I'm like, definitely.
Yes, yeah.
I told him that before I left him on that final day. I said, you go and you make sure those hostages come home.
No,
and then bring
really.
Moshiach. So now I've now told him, I'm going to sort that bit out.
So he's done half of it.
Exactly. But I love it when I hear people say, you know, Ori, because of Ori, this changed my life. Or I started, we haven't spoken about the move for Ori, how much that affected and changed their life. And I feel like those things are hugs along the way. And
Yes.
So those sorts of things do
But
help me.
it must have been like, it's also a big test for the community, and also it's a bit on you as well, because I think people look to you because for almost for you should provide people with comfort.
How am I supposed to deal with it?
Yeah, because people have said all those Tehillims and always believed, because you believed it, that everything's going to work out fine, and we all want to have happy stories and happy endings.
I think it is one of those things that we all wanted it. And obviously, I wish with all my heart that it could have been a different way. And I say that to Hashem, like, couldn't it have been for him? Couldn't it have been different? But at the same time, life doesn't go the way we want it always. And that, like I said, there's a bigger picture that we just don't understand and we don't know. And it's hard. Do you know what? This is a very hard conversation. I'll tell you why. I'm mid-grief and this is all very fresh. Ori passed away 6 months ago. And like you said, that people are looking to me and how's she coping after, you know, I'm going to be like very real here and candid, because I think like I can sit here and just be lofty and be like, you know, everything's going to be okay. Like this is so fresh for us. And it's
I think
really
people look
painful.
at you like that because how you managed for those 4 years, that almost like superhuman. I mean, when I think about it, you know, for being candid, and in my own life with my child that was born with special needs, and all the shocks and the hopes and the things that went along with that, I wish I would have been as stoic and as strong as you were, but I definitely felt at certain times like, you know, this should not be happening to me. What have I done to deserve it? And when people come along and say, "Oh, you must be a very special person,"
oh no, that's the worst thing. Only special people get given tests like this. You must be so strong.
Yeah, you kind of want to say, you know what?
I'd much rather not be strong.
I'll be weak and bad, and I'll just have a regular child.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's funny because I've noticed that now, having so many friends within the special needs community, if someone from your friendship group or people who have gone through the same thing say that, then it's like, okay, that's fine because you know what you're going through. But otherwise, they're just sort of it's the sort of things that people say.
Because they don't really know what else to say.
Yeah.
People say silly things, and I've realised that they mean well. I think it's just people are super awkward. And when, like, for us now, like, well, we're trying to navigate how to deal with this. I have no idea.
It's
I'm
more
taking
awkward
this
now
a day.
for people around
People are
you.
super awkward now. I mean, we've had some really funny comments, like again, by mistake, clearly. So how many children do you have left? Oof.
Yeah,
and like,
that's like crushing.
Oh, well, I mean, left. He's still my child.
Yeah.
He's not here.
But people don't.
No, they don't. But you can't be offended by these things because people are just don't know because this is so not normal.
Yes, yeah.
And people who've known you for so long, what's the right thing to say? There isn't. Someone said to me, I don't know what to say. I said, that's fine. I don't think there is a right thing to say.
Yeah.
As someone said to me, but anyway, I told them about Ori and he went, well, time to have 3 or 4 more kids then now. And I'm like, so what? So again, they just don't know what to say. So they say silly things. Maybe that might be slightly pushing it. That might not be okay to say. But
yeah, absolutely. Or I know a friend of mine lost a child who had special needs, and you know their whole life was sort of revolved around the child. And then somebody came in the shiva and said, must be sort of a relief. Now you can get your life back. And you can kind of understand why people might think that, because for 4 years, Ori was sort of at center stage, whether it was biting through the lines and rushing to hospital, all the things. But I think people forget that it's not just a matter of...
It's not like your life was on pause and then you continue. So here's the thing that I've had a lot of comments of, so you're going back to work now. What is in like, I paused everything to care for him and then I should just go back to the way that life was before. And it like, that almost takes me back because I don't want life to go back to the way it was before because I'm a different person because of Ori. And like, just as if like, he was like, we're dealing with him and now that's out the way. Let's now go back to work. And it's like, whoa. But again, people don't mean it in that sort of way. But in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not, I need to think now. What now? Like, I've been through something so massive. What should I be doing now? I guess I'm kind of at a crossroads and feel almost very lost because he was my purpose for so long. And I my everything was caring for him. And it's how do I use the experience that I've been through to move forward? What do I do with my life right now? It's like starting what do I want to be when I grow up? What do I want to do with everything that I've learned? I don't want to just it be like as if it was just a small chapter and I've had the before and then continue with the after as if it was the before. I need to really think about what my life now looks like because of the experience that I've had. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they often say, I know sort of my experience seeing different people. Ironically, you can have sort of certain situations where, let's say a spouse was really, really ill and the wife was the carer.
Yeah.
And that was how, that was almost the wife's purpose. And when the husband suddenly gets better, you would think that, right? Everyone's going to be very happy. But suddenly, like, she doesn't have her purpose anymore and the whole dynamics change. So I think that's probably in a similar sort of way. Like, while Ori was alive, that was your mission.
Yeah. I said to someone, I don't know how to put this right, but I couldn't go out. I couldn't do anything. And I cared for him. And it was like it's almost like I have a freedom now because I can go out. I can get regular babysitter, or my daughter can babysit, and I can leave. But it's a freedom that I wouldn't have chosen.
Yes.
But like, yeah, it's suddenly I feel like poof, like what, like.
Which is so hard for people to think that, because logically you went through, it's a nightmare. I mean, having to always worry about what's going to happen.
Yeah, I worried. I didn't sleep for 4 years. It's crazy to be sleeping again. Finally, the bags under my eyes will go down.
It was only been 6 months.
slowly coming down, but no, I think it's the constant tears probably keep helping them stay up.
But there's almost like I'm sort of hear from you. There's almost like a yearning, a missing part of.
I feel like I'm missing a limb.
Yeah, and
I miss caring for him. I miss the privilege of caring for him, and I think often a trigger for me, which I love seeing. Everyone, like my friends that I met throughout my journey, and there's almost like a pang, is that the word? No, like a feeling in my heart, like a tightness in my chest when it's going through having a sick child or a special needs child. I know how exhausting and how much work it is, and now not being able to do that, I get a tightening in my chest, seeing others having the privilege of being able to. Does that make sense? I wouldn't wish anyone's child to be unwell, and I hope that everyone is in the best possible outcome, and no one should have to go through what we're going through now. But I really, really, I miss the privilege of caring for him. I really do.
I guess that was how you.
No, I loved it. I loved caring for him.
Well, you knew that was that's what Hashem had given you. The special soul that needed looking after as long as you could. But it must be sort of that void now is a massive challenge. Yeah, it's really, really everywhere, especially in my home. I look everywhere around the room and I see places he stood and his little area that he would play and in the kitchen where his high chair was, and
He would like follow me around, and where his oxygen tubing like went down over the steps, I like sometimes like shut my eyes and like picture taking his oxygen down the stairs, and where the oxygen machines were, it's like there's just a lot of space and quiet because we had Kokoman playing a lot, and grief is something, it's horrible. Like you were saying before about being strong throughout, the grief part is hard. It's really hard, and I don't feel like I'm any better than I was feeling 6 months ago when he passed away. It hurts so much. It's like a physical pain that I've never, like you can feel like a physical pain. We really miss him, and it's a massive void, and I'm still just, and I feel like I almost have to go out and put on a brave face sometimes, because people, like you said, people like want you to be coping, because we need to watch to you to how are you coping.
Well, but you're almost ironically, although people are there to comfort you, they're looking for you for what, how are you doing, and if you're doing okay, then then we're okay.
Yeah, and you get a lot of how are you, and it's like how are you, and depends on the hour, depends on the day, depends on the triggers that come up, seeing certain things, driving past certain places that I used to take him to.
So how do you, during those like dark moments and when you're sort of just left and just thinking about him, how do you like pick yourself up?
So firstly, I really, really do allow myself to feel. I think that's really important. Like it's okay to cry it out. And I recently, something triggered me quite a lot, and I found it very, very emotional. And I just went out the room and I allowed myself to ugly cry and let it out, because there's something very freeing about just allowing the cry to come out.
Of course.
So I think that does help, but I know that I could very much, I guess, sink into a dark hole of sadness because I feel so lost without him. But when I was going back to when he was alive and we decided to make a massive change in the world, we started this move for Ori. Through Thank You Hashem in America, and getting people to be grateful for their body and their health. And we got people moving and running and swimming. And I said to Rafi, do you know what's crazy? The very thing that we did to make a difference in the world is the thing that's going to help me. And I've really noticed how when I move, it makes such a difference to how I cope. When I've gone for a swim, when I've just even gone for a walk,
you feel
it massively, massively helps me.
Of course. Well, let's talk about that. Let's first talk about the move forward. It's an amazing idea. How did it all start, and so where did it lead to?
Yeah. So earlier we were talking about in June when Ori recovered, and we wanted to make a big difference, a big change, but we wanted to get people to do something that wasn't heavy. We wanted people to do something that wasn't asking them to take on something they didn't connect to, like to say an extra tefillah, or to do something that like
to bring Shabbos in early.
Yeah, things like that, which
I've tried that many times. I
just about get it in on time. I'm like
never works.
Running. No, I just didn't want anything. I wanted something that was so real and tangible, and that could connect anybody, no matter what your religious level was, no matter what your religion was even, just everyone could do. And we spoke to Thank You Hashem, and I spoke to Mendy, my cousin. I said, we need something that is just relatable, and said, give me 48 hours. And it came back with this move for Ori. And it took off, and just asking people to move, go out their way, move and pause and say, thank you Hashem for my body, for my health. And so many people said how much it changed the way that they moved. I had a friend who said, I've always gone to the gym, but I didn't realize actually it's a spiritual thing. Me going to the gym, I'm talking to Hashem while I'm on the treadmill.
Just appreciating that
I can move and in my body, and saying, thank you Hashem, look at me on the treadmill, like I can do this, my legs work.
Yes, yeah.
We had a bunch of friends, loads of people started running. And someone did a half marathon, and she said, what did she said it was almost like it was so spiritual. She said when she was getting to a point that was difficult while she was running, she said, I'm doing this for Ori. Thank you Hashem that I can move. And she had this re-energize. And when you live gratefully and you say thank you to Hashem for the things that you just don't even realize and you take for granted, that you normally take for granted, it just shifts everything. It just makes life so much more manageable when you're living with that gratitude attitude.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's almost like it's what it's doing is like two things. First of all, you've got the gratitude part, which we know is like, in terms of when it comes to like mental health, how important it is. But so often we're always sort of thinking about how bad things are and how terrible life is.
Yeah.
And when we're able to sort of just see, what we do have, then it's like it's a seismic shift. But besides that, I think there's also the element of just moving and just getting people off the couch.
Exactly. But that has, I think they're so intertwined, those two things, that movement helps mental health and physical health so much. It's so life-changing. And like I said, someone had reached out to me recently. I think I said this to you. Maybe I didn't. That someone had said, moving, because of Move for Ori, it saved my life.
Really?
And going out, getting up and moving mentally makes it just is such a tool to help. Physical health, obviously, doing the exercise is so important. We look after our physical health. But mentally, for me, I can see it so much now. And it's, every day is I feel like each day I wake up and it's like I feel the pain and it's, okay, what movement am I going to do today? And I can see the way it helps me, and it helps the way I cope. The way I cope with the people around me, with Rafi and I to each other, to my kids, being more present and not snappy because I'm in so much pain. I don't want to. It was something, a big fear of mine before losing Ori was that I would go through it and become bitter and angry with everybody and just have an anger about me towards everyone. And I every day when I'm feeling, I remind myself to go out, to move, to take care of myself so that I can be good to everyone else around me, to be the best for everyone else around me. It has a massive impact on mental health and living gratefully. And
I think the problem is when it comes to exercise and movement is that, I often say it's the best antidepressant.
Yeah.
And because it's natural,
100%.
25 minutes, a good walk.
And it doesn't have to be that you have to run. I keep trying. So many people were running for this Move for Ori. So many of my friends took up running and I keep trying. I keep trying to do the couch to 5K and I'm getting halfway and I just don't like running. I'm sorry, I'm admitting this out loud. I love swimming and I love walking. So I think it's not just about taking on an exercise that everyone else is doing. It's doing a movement that works for you. And that is sometimes walking and going for a walk around the block or for half an hour. It's just about moving your body.
Definitely,
like you said, it helps so much.
It releases endorphins, and it should really be. I think often in the Jewish community we don't maybe we don't have the time for it, or we don't value it as much as it should really be. It should be the sort of, it's almost like the basics that before rushing off to do all the other types of things. Movement. It should be.
That was really also what Move for Ori was, and I hope for it to continue to be, is it should be ingrained in our kids from a young age and with us as adults to focus on movement. And so many kids are struggling. People have been, just in general, I just see this, just such a lot going on. I'm sure you see it a lot in terms of mental health. And if movement can really be pushed, it should just be just as much as you're learning everything else, English, math, science, be learning that movement is so important for our mental health. And as adults, it's just something that it's people, someone said to me once, but I've got the dishes in the sink and I need to get done. I was like, well, they'll stay and they'll be fine.
Yes,
Go for a walk, go for a run, do something, because you have to invest in that to look after your mental health.
Of course, and it doesn't have to be like a long thing. You don't have to sign up to the gym, just a 25-minute walk.
Exactly.
You can listen to something.
Exactly.
And if you want, I think kids unfortunately don't have the opportunities that they do, partly because schools have less and less PE and games, and it's just a matter of sitting there. Everyone has to learn.
So I would love, hasn't happened yet, but I would love to take the Move for Ori and it be some kind of something within schools around the world, connecting in Jewish schools around the world, everyone, where there's some kind of program that they have to do certain amounts of movement, and then you can see like a like a bar chart that fills up and everyone competes with other schools around the country, around the world. If anyone wants to help me do this, I'd love that. But like,
it would be amazing.
Exactly. I would love it just to be that it's exciting to move and it's something that we can collectively do and encourage.
Because I think also one of the things is that after school in the old days, but we would sort of ride around on our bikes and go round and come back, when it was late or getting dark. But, and nowadays we see the sort of many parents are just very worried, and there's a big sort of anxiety about letting our children out. So they end up staying in, either in front of the computers.
I mean, I hear that with bikes in the dark. I will say I'm kind of one of them as well.
So I think almost like we've become a bit overprotective.
Yeah.
We've become... and the people don't move. So I love that idea of incorporating it into the classroom.
I'd love it, like competitive and
and it can even be like,
or not. I mean, like it not as in go on. Sorry.
Yeah, seeing what the different schools are doing, but even like after each lesson,
get up and do 10 jumping jacks.
5 minutes of just move around.
End every lesson. Everyone get up and just
jump up and down,
move. Yeah.
I think it's
and then every minute is accumulated in this bar chart. So, and then you could be like, our school have done this amount of jumping jacks, and what of yours? I don't know.
I think so.
Listen, it's just about incorporating it as much as we can, and creating a gratitude attitude from a young age of and encourage, but through movement and being grateful for our body and it having, but with the massive result of helping mental health as well. So it's kind of,
of course, and that being another merit that Ori's brought to so many people.
Yeah.
But how have the family sort of moved in the last 6 months? How have the children adapted to that new type of almost life now?
So it was, we thank God through Ori's hospice, we won tickets to Disney, and I told them that we could only take it when he got better. And then Ori passed away, and the hospice said, take the tickets, go. So after Shloshim, we decided, let's just go and spend time together. And we went to Disney in Florida and went around and went on every 10 parks in 12 days, water parks. And we just spent that time together, which I think was a really, really positive thing for all of us.
Was there a lot of laughing and crying?
Yes, very much. I will say over Shabbos, particularly myself, I found it very hard because that's when the quiet is there and the distractions are not there. And I think anyone who's going through grief, I feel like sometimes that's quite hard. So trying to make sure that I was we had things to do and we're busy. But so for the kids, that was amazing for them. And then now starting the school year, I think routine helps massively. They've got all their after school activities, the football and dance and swimming and stuff like that. And keeping things as routine as possible. But we talk about Ori a lot. We don't hide away from it. And we don't hide away from the fact that he was a big part of our life. And if they're feeling sad, I really encourage them to talk about it. And if I'm feeling sad, I try and show them that I felt that sort of way, to show them that it's okay. And it's been hard on them, and they each it goes through waves. There'll be a few weeks where they might not, they might just be very distracted with school and with routine, but then every so often, one of them will say, I'm feeling sad, or I'm missing him, and we talk about him.
It's amazing that you sort of still, it's all so open, and
I just think it has to be. It has to. He was such a part of our life. I can't just, we're not going to erase that it happened.
I think some people sort of feel that we have to.
But again, some people it might be too painful to have photos up or to talk about them. I would imagine for some people that could be the reality. And I think that's the other thing. Everyone grieves so differently. And even Rafi and myself, my husband and I, we grieve differently as well. And I think there's no right way to grieve. So for some families, it might look like that they're not so open and talking about it. And that's the way that maybe would work for them. For us, it's very much about talking about him and keeping him in our home and singing Cocomelon songs every so often and looking at pictures and talking about the silly things that he did, and it's the way that works for us.
Yeah, it's like remembering the his mischievousness,
exactly,
and the fun times, but probably also, I'm sure there's times where you have sort of flashbacks of all the hospitals where if you hear a siren, does that make you think of?
Yeah, every siren. If I hear any ambulance, my head turns. I know that ambulance is not going to my house right now, but it triggers me.
Because it's the trauma
and for the kids,
of it.
yeah, and they hear like even like when we go out to eat at friends and like their oven timer goes off, Rafi and I both just chop.
Yeah.
Like even with the kids, like alarms, certain like tones, is it a certain pitch will make us jump every time. Yeah, those sorts of things.
But I think that's such an important point that you said. Like, I think when it comes to grief, particularly, there's no right or wrong way, and everyone is sort of it's their own personal journey and how they deal with it.
And I would imagine also grieving a child, which, so they say, is one of the worst things to go through. I think even people who grieve children, it will be different because of different circumstances in which someone's child may pass away, whether it's a shock or for us, it's been a journey, different age groups, different. I think there can't possibly be one way that is right, and even like hearing advice and everything else, it's nice to be able to talk and to share, but everyone is going to cope so differently because everyone's situation is very different. There's, like I said, there's no right way. I don't think, and there's no one way either.
Yes, yeah.
I think there's probably many.
But you doing things like this and talking about it gives huge amounts of inspiration to others, but at the same time, it's like you're continuing almost like your mission.
Yeah, I'm going to continue his legacy. I want to keep him here. He may not be here in person, but I feel he left his mark on the world, and it is my mission to continue spreading his light and spreading his story and continuing the move for Ori and his memory and talking about hope and real davening and talking to Hashem from the heart for real. And everything that I learned through his story, I feel is my mission to continue keeping him here. So yeah.
And in terms of, let's say, families that are struggling and going through their own challenges, whether sometimes it can be dealing with a child that might have their own mental health problems or physical illnesses. What would you like? What would you tell parents that are struggling?
They have to be a team. You have to be there and be each other's cheerleaders. And as a family, just keep reminding each other that you're all a team and you're all there. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm like an expert, and I feel like having you all are in this together and you're all struggling through this together. You need to be there for each other. And
which is quite hard because you were in the hospital a lot of the time.
Oh yeah,
and you've got the children to deal with.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds very nice to be a team, but even like practically, how are you able to be a team?
I guess when the times that we were together,
and you had each other sort of emotionally.
Exactly. Yeah, we were apart a lot over the 4 years. I'm currently in London. My father lost his mum, and I came to spend a few days with my dad. And I said to Rafi, will you bring the kids down for Shabbos? Will you pack? He's like, I'm used to it. I've done it for 4 years. You're used to doing this apart thing. But
it's sad, the sort of things that you had to get used to almost.
But you can emotionally be there for each other, even if you're not there.
So definitely in terms of the connection and making sure that you were on the same page, I can see like community was also like a massive part of your sort of support system. Yeah,
I think, for example, I met a lot of people through Camp Simcha, and having other families who understood what I was going through and like lived a similar medical life I think having some kind of community is massive. So whether it is going through with a special needs child or someone going through mental health issues, it's finding families. They're not necessarily going to be the same. And yes, everyone's going to be going through it differently and coping with it differently. But just to know there's someone else there going through something similar, it's a lot less isolating. I think meeting other families going through having a sick child.
You're not alone.
I felt very much, not alone. And when I saw anyone, whether it was in the hospital, whether it was at Camp Simcha events, you just, you have like a tightening in your chest when you're struggling, and you almost like breathe when you around other people who just speak the same language as you. Just get it. And I think
we're
that's
very
so
blessed
important.
to have these amazing organizations like Camp Simcha and KEF, and I think in the past, families would have felt so different, and sometimes there's the stigma. Sometimes it's just feeling, that no one else can really connect to you. But these amazing organizations mean that you're not alone.
Yeah,
and you're not only are you not alone, but you're almost like they make you feel almost like you're special. You're part of this special, unique club.
Yeah, I think that's also been a very, very hard transition for my kids. Is that we were the same as we had. How do you say this? We had a sick child and were part of a Camp Simcha family, which we still, they're still incredible, and they were incredible, and they are amazing. But suddenly it's like, okay, now what club are we a part of?
Yes, yeah.
It's a starting again, and then it's finding that community. So when we found, like, Camp Simcha helped find us our people who, like, we were in it together, and we built each other up and made it, like you said, made each other feel special. And I think for my kids, it's now, okay, starting again, finding people who get them again, where it's the next shift of who.
Yes, which we don't have probably such infrastructure as much.
No, not
in
as
the community.
Much. Well, and thank God, there's not as. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard it in the past that people sort of felt that if their child sometimes if the child gets better, or the family member does pass on,
now
we kind of sort of now we don't really belong to anything.
Like I will still always, and I feel so strongly to the friends and like family that I made during the time that Ori was alive. But I also am very well aware that we are probably their worst nightmare right now. Looking at us, we're like the worst case scenario of what no parent with a sick child wants to be going through. And it's almost like we are that. We now represent that. No, we don't. No one wants that. I don't know if that makes any sense.
In some ways, but you also represent, I mean, this smile here, where you could easily be, as you said, you could be sitting in a dark room with the curtains.
I will say, I do sometimes. I will spend a day in bed if I need to cry and feel sad. I will allow that for myself, because I know that's not. I intend to then get up.
Yes,
I think it's allowed.
But I think your openness with your own feelings, but also the fact that you've shared all along the way the journey and your voice notes on the WhatsApp group. I think that's where you're probably different to a lot of other people. Maybe because the typical British way is to
could be
a bit more reserved, and we don't want to. Maybe we feel that we're intruding, or maybe we feel that we just don't want to air out our. It's not dirty little, but it's the details, and what you did was I think people did gather around you because you wanted to, you sort of allowed them in.
I think, you asked me earlier on about why people fell in love with Ori and felt so connected to his story. And I think the fact that I did share his story along the way and shared the voice notes, it allowed them into his world and our world.
Yes, yeah.
And that's why they davened the way that they did for him. They were rooting for him the way they are. And it's not easy for everyone to talk and to share. But I know personally from talking and sharing how much it does for me. And still, I often post on Instagram, on social media, about how things are, and I did throughout his life. And it's I feel like I'm finding it hard to do since losing him. But I give if I don't feel up for it, I won't. But I also know that it does help me to talk it out and to talk to other people and to share, because I take it out of I'm letting it out.
You're sort of you're getting out, but but as much as it's helping you, you can see it's actually also helping everyone else, because they now know and they feel connected, and you're being open in what you need and what people can help with. Whereas with so many other times, people are very unsure, like, should we say anything, because she's not saying anything.
Yeah.
So you've really sort of allowed everyone to feel that they can be part of the campaign during the 4 years of and all the davening and everything like that. And even now, you're still being so candid about
people say,
going.
Are you comfortable talking? I said, of course. I want to talk about him.
Yes, yeah.
I want to talk about him all the time. It won't be too much. People will be like, I find it actually hard when I'm like meeting new people who don't know me, don't know Ori's story. And then I'm like, I don't know what to say to you. I've got so much to say. Like I'm Ori's mom. That's who I am.
Yes,
and I don't know, such a massive part of my life. And I'm so proud of it, and so proud of him, and proud of everything that he went through, like how amazing he was, and just the effect that he had on the world. I said that to him when I held him at the end. I said, you changed the world. He did. Those last moments?
Yeah. Did you know that it was that these are the last moments?
Like I said earlier, I had a gut feeling that Shvi Shel Pesach, the day the sea split, was our deadline day. I don't know why. It wasn't any different from any other days, but I just felt, having that been my, is it like a metaphor? Is that the right one? For like the concept, the idea that the sea splitting would be like for his miracle, that day in history being the sea splitting, it just was so significant that I just felt like that was the day that his miracle was going to happen, or that would be a time. And I came back, and he'd like eaten loads, and he was jumping up and down, and he like patted the bed, and we got into bed and we cuddled, and he like lay across me and was watching Coco Melon, and we were both sharing chocolate. Rafi was giving him a piece and me a piece, and but I don't know. I cried when I got back, because I felt like if he hadn't had his miracle today, and then it was his time, and we felt very strongly at the time that it was Hashem literally just taking his neshama back, and it was like, we both felt it at that moment very, very much. It was very...
Also, he was still like giggling and
he was
up
dancing
and playing. Right.
Yeah, he was very, very, very unwell at that point. He was very, very unwell. But like it could have been weeks, months, and it was just in a moment where it was very much his time. And
so
I know, I actually he loved Coco Melon, and he used to scroll really fast, and he'd choose the songs that he wanted. And it was a weird thing to say. So I said about this whole idea of the sea splitting. So the nurse before Pesach decorated his hospital room with like decorations for Pesach, and she printed off this photo of like Moshe in the middle of the splitting of the sea holding a stick, and she taped it on the monitor where his sats and numbers were.
Oh wow.
So in those final moments while his sats are dropping, you look up and there's this picture of the sea splitting right below it. And the last song he chose, I don't know, this is a crazy concept, but the last song he watched just before he passed was the little character was in a ship in the sea. And I just felt like he was in the water saying to Hashem, it's my
just
time.
Sailing off.
And sailing, and the sea splitting, he was there ready. It's maybe silly. In my head, it feels all kind of connected, it being Shvi Shel Pesach. But it just very much was his time.
He completed his purpose.
He really did. He did. He was amazing. And he did change the world, and please God will continue to change the world.
I think you've all changed the world. You, Rafi, the kids. I mean, it's just sitting here listening is unbelievable. How, I mean, you're here. It's not like the pain's different, but the pain is as raw.
Yeah.
And I think you are changing the world. I don't think it's been changed yet, but you are doing it.
I say I daven every time I go to Ori every week. I say, please give me the opportunities to be able to continue your mission and help me to continue in your name, making a difference in the world. It's for him. And
I've got a feeling the way you are, I think I think the story I think the story's gonna have more chapters still, and Ori's life and Ori's memory is going to carry on touching many people along the way.
I hope so.
Jessica, I just want to thank you so much. It's really a privilege for us to have you, and let's see. I'm almost like, if you're allowed to say excited from such a thing, but where's it going to end?
Yeah.
We're going to, all the school's going to be all jumping up and down in the next few months.
My phone better start ringing. No,
but thank you, really. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's been an honor to be here and to share. So thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you.
He laughed his head off. He just...
The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the